Everybody, it's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. I am so sorry that we're a little bit late. I just had a power outage in my house, and when it came back on about 3 minutes before 10, I then needed to get a code from the StreamYard to make this happen. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, it's Friday, and we are here. I am psyched beyond belief. As you know, I founded the Sales Pro Network to help you make more money, close more business, and help more clients become thriving. And also to elevate the profession of sales. It's a place where you can come and ask questions, get coaching, share information, share your success stories and your challenges. And every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, we either do a live interview with somebody who can add value to the profession of sales, or I do a live training for you. And today we're doing the former. And boy, oh boy, you guys are in for a treat. I'm really excited to introduce you to my new friend, Brian McNeill, the Sales Confidence Coach. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Jeff. I'm super excited to be here. I'll tell you, since we had our first phone conversation, it's probably been the best conversation I've had with another sales professional in a very long time. It was refreshing to me. But I've done as much research on you as I could since that phone call. I've looked up your website and your LinkedIn. I've read as much stuff, and I love you more. We have such a similar story, man, such a similar path even. Just the way we did. I mean, the years in the car and the direct selling and all that kind of stuff. So, man, I'm excited to be here. And this is a testament to your confidence because you do what I do. You're a sales coach and a trainer as well, and so am I. We all think we're the best. I think I'm the best at it, but but I'm excited to be here. So let's do our thing, man.
Great. For those of you who are watching, if you are watching live, please say hello. And if you have not connected your Facebook account to StreamYard, when you do make comments, it just says Facebook user. So if you do that, just say, hey, it's Joe or it's Bob or it's Susie. Somebody said hello. Good morning to you. Somebody else said two of the best. So happy to be here live for this. Good morning, Ben Gibbs. Jack Cohn joining us, the best smile in the business. So Brian, let's get started. Could you please give everybody maybe the 2-minute version of what brought you to this point? What got you to here? And then we'll go into all kinds of sales stuff.
What got me to what I do now?
Yeah. What made you go into sales training and coaching?
Oh man, what made me go into it? I'll do a very abbreviated version. For many years, I was a corporate sales trainer after I got good at it. For the first 8 months and I was in professional sales, I was the worst at it. I was in a straight commission sales job. I didn't know how to sell. I started reading sales books. And I got better and better and better. And I just read another. But I started hearing things about this is the best sales training I ever got. And I was quoting other people's books. And one lady in 2006 said to me, Brian, you quoting all these other books. Where's your book? And I felt like a belly punch. Oh, because I didn't have a book. Okay. So then I wrote a report called the 22 Must Closes. And then I got the urge to open up my own shingle. But I will tell you, Brother Jeff, and anyone else listening here, I opened up my first company in 2006. It was called Rhinos Sales and Seminars. Rhinos Sales and Seminars. And I made a lot of money and then less and less money till it was no money. And then I had to quit the business and go back into a real job, And then I felt weakened. And then I bolstered my spirits again, my confidence again in selling. And I started it again and I made a lot of money and then less and less until it was no money. It took me 4 tries, even though I know how to sell, it took me 4 tries to make my business stick. But since 2010, it's stuck completely.
Great. Good morning, Jeff Stern. Good to see you here. Melinda Roth Epstein, always good to see you too. And I know you're a big fan of Brian McNeill. Can you speak a little bit before we get into the actual sales training questions and coaching questions? Why do you think it took 4 times? What kept happening where you were making a lot of money and then it kept going down? Can you speak to that at all?
I can. When I first started, every time, all 3 was the same problem. I launched with enthusiasm on fire. And I knew I didn't have enough clients to sustain my mortgage. So all I did was I did heavy prospecting. I was looking for money. I was looking for clients heavily. Okay. And then what happened was because I hadn't built a team and I didn't have my systems in place yet. So I would prospect. I would get the clients, but then you have to serve the clients. And as I was serving the clients, Jeff, I wasn't prospecting. I was prospecting. It was in direct proportion to how much I prospected, to how many clients I got. And it really It took me 3 tries to understand, Brian, you can never not prospect. My first time, like right away, I ended up with like 8 clients, great ones too, Terminix and Anago, and I had some great clients, and I was serving them well, but there was no time, or at least I didn't have a system in place. That's why I tell people today, systems are more profitable than skills.
Brian, I'm so happy I asked you that question, because that was absolutely the perfect answer. Because gang, for anybody who's watching, what Brian just said about his particular business is the same thing for each and every one of us in sales. Every time we make a sale, we create a challenge for ourselves. Because as Brian said, we now have to deliver on that. And we have less time to do all the other things. And unfortunately, prospecting is something most of us don't like to do. I personally would rather live in my car than ever have to make another cold call. And I'm not kidding. But the key here is, even though I don't like it, or Brian may not like it, or anybody else, it's essential. It is, to me, the most important thing a salesperson can do on a daily basis. And when we take a little time and say, okay, well, I've got these new clients, I'm going to service them for a while, then I'll get back to prospecting, a couple of things happen. One is that you lose your mojo for it. Prospecting, like anything else, you got to do it regularly to stay in shape, because things happen quickly, especially if you're using the phone and you do have to have a system. Then the other thing that happens is, even if you're really good at it, let's say somebody like Brian, who's excellent, he's an expert, he goes for 2 months without prospecting, and now he says, oh, now I've got time, I can get back to it. Well, unfortunately, the way it works is, you don't make calls or send emails or go on LinkedIn or whatever else you do today and get clients tomorrow. There's a big gap. So anytime you don't prospect today, somewhere down the line, whether it's a month, 2 months, or 6 months, you can't get paid. And the key, I have several things that I consider the most important things I share with people. This is what Brian just said, is absolutely one of them. Consistent and effective prospecting on a daily basis it's like the old, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Yeah.
Let me piggyback a little bit more. Please. I find that your money follows your efforts in about 30 days. Okay. So your work has to go ahead, and then your money catches up eventually. Now if you wake up one morning like, where the hell happened to my money? Okay, it's because a month ago you were not working right, but what can happen if you do work consistently, again, systems are more profitable than skills. If you do work consistently, what happens is your money catches up to your efforts, and then your money passes your efforts, and your money has passed your efforts when you find yourself earning more but doing less. That's, your money is running ahead of you, but it's not static. You have to constantly keep the dance going. You have to work and earn. That's why I think selling is the most honorable profession, because we always get paid in direct proportion to what we produce. Life is not a gift shop, and I love that about it.
Yeah, it takes work. So let's get into some help. Oh, good morning, Keith Ginsburg. Good to see you here. You're the sales confidence coach, which I just love that title. Some people seem to pop out of the womb fully confident. They just have that aura about them. But for others, not really so much. So what can someone who lacks that natural confidence, that inner confidence, what can they do to get some more of the confidence that we need when we're selling?
There's 2 things you could do. These are great questions, by the way.
Thank you.
2 things you could do to gain the confidence. And one of them is a shortcut to the other, okay? But one thing you could do is learn your craft, study your game. I think you should be studying your craft 30 minutes to an hour on every day that you work. So if you don't work on Sunday, you don't have to study on Sunday. But if you do work on Sunday, you got to study that day. So if you keep studying your craft, reading great books, checking information, some of them are better than others. Some of the information is dreadful, even wrong. But if you keep yourself in a constant learning mode, keep yourself green and growing and consistently studying, you'll get more confident in your game. The second thing is a shortcut, and that's to work with a sales coach or a sales mentor or a sales trainer and take as many classes as you can. Sometimes you may have to lean on your sales coach's confidence until you get enough of your own. If you hire Jeff as your sales coach, he might be more confident in you based on what he's learned until your confidence level catches up or gets close to his. So sometimes you have to borrow confidence, but you can always study past insecurity.
Yeah, that's great. I know that you know this. Last night I did stand-up comedy
yes!
here on Long Island for the first time in 28 years. And I got a call yesterday from a friend of mine who is a trainer and coach. as well as he's done professional stand-up comedy. And when we spoke midday yesterday, his confidence in me was way higher than mine. Today, after having done it and it went very well, I feel way more confident. But sometimes you do need somebody else. And I'm so glad you said what you just said, because I was going to say it before and forgot. I don't want this to sound like a plug for me or Brian, but sometimes you need somebody else to look at what you're doing, because you can't see what you're doing yourself. It's like the first thing I do when I have a new client, a new coaching client. Obviously we set goals, but typically the biggest problem for them is they're just not seeing enough prospects. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I do is, let's take a look at your calendar. Let's go back a month or two and take a look at what's going on. And it's clear when somebody like Brian looks at your calendar and goes, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't see prospecting on here. Duh, why aren't you making any money? Because you're not seeing people. You're not seeing people because you didn't do something months ago." So I'm so glad you said that. I want to switch to another topic, though, that you and I briefly explored the other day. Old style selling, and I've been in sales 48 years. It was filled with pressure. It was all about pressuring people into doing things. And today's sellers quite often are still looking to create urgency and using pressure to do that. They often do. So what are your thoughts on using pressure when selling?
Yes. Now I had to change, Brother Jeff. I in the 90s, when I came up, I cut my teeth in the 90s. Pressure selling was the move. And I believed in my core that the better closers were the better salesperson. And I learned all these different closes. I knew more than 100 ways of asking for money. I knew the Ben Franklin close, the paper flow close, the this or that close, the airplane close, the contest close. I could teach them all the closes, but no one will tolerate that today. Okay. Who makes more money, the better closer or the better prospector? The better prospector makes more money because they're only going to sell to the right people. So what's the role of pressure? I still believe, and I hope you guys hear me this, I still believe that all great salespeople and great closers are high pressure closers. However, you can't put any of the pressure on your clients. You have to allow them room to put pressure on themselves. Are you happy with your sales right now? No, I'm not. Why not? Why not in that moment is a very high pressure question. But the answer, for them to seek out an answer in their brain, that's them putting pressure on themselves. If we don't do anything, are your business going to get better or worse or stay the same? What do you believe? For them to have to figure out, is it going to get better or worse if they don't do anything? That's very high pressure, but I'm not putting the pressure. I have to allow them. If you don't do this, what will you do? Which is one of my favorite questions. It's very high pressure, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and that's way different than saying you need to make a decision right now, or you're not going to be able to get this. Or there's only two of these left, and otherwise they're gone. And look, there's nothing wrong at all if that's really the situation with clearly explaining that to people. But to use that as a technique to talk people into things or pressure them. First of all, I don't believe that sales is about convincing or persuading or talking people into things. And I don't believe with all your skill and my skill together, plus everybody who's watching and everybody who will watch, we're not good enough to do that. And by the way, that's not our job. Mm-hmm. It's really about what you said, prospecting. It's about asking great questions and listening actively. And that's where salespeople get screwed up. They think it's about the great presentation and the strong close. Look, I know that you, like me, are a professional presenter, and I sold Encyclopedia Britannica door to door for 8 years. I know how to pressure people.
If you could do that.
That ain't it, though. It's absolutely not it. So I love what you said. I have another question, which I'm really curious about the answer. Why do rhinos make great salespeople?
Okay, we can do that. Rhinos make great salespeople is a metaphor. There was a great book written in 1980 called Rhinoceros Success by a guy named Scott Alexander. And in that book, he's running a parallel between rhinos and cows, where a cow can spend his whole life in the same pasture, completely happy, as long as he's got enough grass to eat and enough water to drink, never even wondering what's over the hill. Whereas rhinos have to discover things. They put out fires. They go for stuff, okay? And he runs a parallel. Champion entrepreneurs, they go for things. Now, I came up with a concept called Why Rhinos Make Great Salespeople because reading that book and watching National Geographic, I learned that some things about a rhino. Like on some places their body, their skin is almost 2 inches thick on some places of their body. They're physically strong. They can't see very well. They got incredible hearing. So I made it into a story. Rhinos are like great salesmen. Rhinos make great salesmen because one is they have thick skins, which I equate to not taking things personally. They have incredible hearing, which I equate to being great listeners. They have really horrible eyesight. They can't see very well, which I equate to not even noticing little things that can get in the way of your business. Too hot here, too cold here, too rainy, too hot, whatever. They don't even notice the little stuff. But the coolest things are the last two things. One is the horns. Now, this happens to be a 2-horned rhino, and I use the horns to indicate your goals. The little horn is the little goal you must reach before you get to your big goal. And the way a rhino's eyes are situated, they see everything past their horns. So they constantly have their goals in front of them, no matter what direction they're going. But the last thing is their legs, because a rhino is physically unable to walk backwards. So they can turn around, but they don't back up. So the legs don't work that way. So if you go for your goal, the way a rhino would go for their goal, the only physical option you have is to continue forward until you reach your objective. Matter of fact, I even wrote a book, Why Rhinos Make Great Salespeople, featuring Mr. Randall the Rhino.
I love that, man. I love it. And I loved, I didn't know about the not backing up thing, but that's brilliant. It's, keep moving forward. There's I forgot that. There's a kids movie. I think it's Pixar, Meet the Robinsons, which I have 3 kids and we used to watch all those movies.
Gotta watch all of them.
I love that. And one of the phrases is for the family, the Robinson family, is keep moving forward. And salespeople, stop looking in the rearview mirror. Yep. The business is out there, not behind you. So keep going. I love that. I love that. I was going to plug the book. I'm glad you showed it. We all like shortcuts. I certainly do. What is the shortcut?
To making more sales, making more money?
I don't know. I was on your website and I saw something that said the shortcut.
Okay. The book, The Shortcut, is only 74 pages long. It's called The Shortcut, the fastest route to earning more money selling your services. If you just do what it says do, within 4 to 6 weeks, you'll have a lot more clients. It's just nuts and bolts of what to do. A lot of cake, very little frosting. What do you do on a Monday? What do you do on a Tuesday? What do you do on a Wednesday? It's just nuts and bolts of what you got to do to get clients.
That is great. I can't tell you how many times I've said the words, it's all about the fundamentals. Don't worry about the fancy stuff. Every time a client of mine comes to me, I'm sure like me that you have clients who you worked with for years and they're like, when are you going to teach my people the advanced stuff? I'm going to teach your people the advanced stuff when they start doing the basics that I've been teaching them for years. And by the way, there's no advanced stuff.
That's a frustration of mine, when they want something sexy but won't do the basics.
Exactly right. Larry Weiss says, good morning, Larry Weiss, the telephone guy. He says, I'm enjoying this and I love the rhino. And
good to meet you, sir.
And somebody else, I'm not sure who it is, said, what a great analogy. Thick skins, hearing, listening, horns, goals in front of you at all times. Can't walk backwards, keep moving forward. Fantastic. So apparently people are liking what you're saying. And good morning, Don Levine, our executive recruiter. He also said, I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend your comedy show last night. There's another one on the 23rd, my friend. So let's move on. What do you see as the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs are facing today when it comes to selling their services?
I'm so glad you asked this particular question. If we had left here without addressing this, I would have been sad. But the biggest challenge I see is in the pursuit of not coming across as salesy, as if that's a bad thing. Today's entrepreneurs, by and large, are not asking for business at all. They're presenting, and they're so romanced by this idea that social media is going to make them money, their branding is going to make them money, their website is going to make them money. They're hoping, brother, that if they have the right messaging and if they post often enough, people going to show up and say, hey, can I hire you? The thing is, none of that, you need all of it, but none of it is going to ask for business. So the biggest challenge I have, we've created a nation of, I believe, what's called wimpy entrepreneurs. They never ask for business at all. They never say the words, will you give my services a try? Can we move forward? Anything and that's the way I want them to ask, would you give us a try? Such a non-threatening way to ask for business. And even them, when they do ask, they'll ask once or twice and then never again. And the other thing I think is creating weak, wimpy salespeople is this bombardment of people saying, I can get you more leads, more leads, more leads, more leads, more leads. I can get you 50 to 100 leads a month. what's happening is it's creating entrepreneurs that's just looking for laydowns. You want my stuff? No. Moving to the next. Looking for my stuff? No. Want my stuff? No. They're not nurturing. So not asking for business, not respecting the game. Selling is a process. It's not an event. And they're treating it like it's an event. Like if they don't buy now, that's the end of the game forever. They don't know how to nurture business and they won't even ask.
Yeah. Again, you're so on target. Like you, I could list 20 trick closes off the top of my head. And by the way, the Ben Franklin, it's one of my favorites. It didn't work when Ben Franklin was alive, and it doesn't work now.
It definitely don't work now.
People are still teaching it. I teach one very simple, one very straightforward close, and it's kind of like you, just ask. My closes, in my professional opinion, that's the plan that makes sense to me and what I think we should do to move forward. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're telling people you're a professional, which means you should listen to me. You're saying we should move forward. You're saying we, like we're a team, and you're telling them it makes sense, and people buy because it makes sense to buy. So
out of all those,
you don't need trick closes.
Only one I kept, and I think it's the king of all closes. It's the assumptive close. What do you say after your clients say yes? Let's move forward, and whatever they would normally say after the client say yes, I teach them to always say. So to get this done the way you want it done, the only thing I need from you now is just a little bit more information, and I'm gonna need some money. Will you help me with it? Or whatever you would normally say in your language after they say yes. I want you to always say, whether they say yes or not, always assume the sale. If they give you the opportunity to present, no one wastes time, assume that this is business.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. When a training prospect says, yes, it makes sense to me, I go, great, let's pick training dates. Or a coaching client, great, I'm going to send you the link, pick a couple of dates, we're going to get going. Yep. Just get moving forward. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned something a moment ago, which really I feel firmly about. So many salespeople blow it when it comes to asking for the money. I think I gave an example a couple of weeks ago here on this broadcast, but I'll repeat it. About a month ago, I was on the line on a Zoom call with two guys from Australia talking about a service and pitching me on it. And I was very interested. And the guy who was leading the call was doing a great job, because I'm sure that, like you, when somebody's trying to sell me, I'm listening to what they're saying as a prospect, but I'm also judging every second. Oh, I always said that, or that was really good. And we got to the end, and when it came time to tell me what the investment was going to be, he totally choked. He lost confidence. I could see in his face that he was just about to give me the number, and he didn't have faith in it. Yeah. And it blew the whole deal for him. And I actually told him that afterwards. He wrote to me to say, I hope we can move forward. I said, hey, if I could offer you some coaching. And he said, yes. I said, you had a great thing going until the very end. So why do you think that salespeople have such a challenge asking for money? And what advice do you have for them on how to do that?
A couple of things. First off, most of the time when they lock up at the close is because they're thinking of themselves. Okay, they're thinking of, how is he going to perceive me if I give him this big number? Or what are they going to think of me if I ask for money? Okay, you're worried about the wrong thing, instead of worried about how much better their situation gets once they take my solution. Now, you got to be sure that what you're offering them puts them in a position where they're much better off. If they decide to give you the money that you ask for in exchange for the big old pile of benefits you're getting them, are they better off? And if you're sure they're better off, then you owe it to them to ask for the money. Okay, you owe it to them. You have a responsibility if they're better off. If you don't, today I see selling as an act of motivation versus transactional as it used to be. Our job is to motivate people to take an action that they want to take in the first place that benefits them. Okay, you got to motivate them to take an action. So first, you got to be sure that they're better off. And if you're sure they are, remind yourself that you owe it to them to motivate them to take this action that improves their lives. Anything less than that, you're out of integrity. It's as if you don't really believe it yourself. That's one thing you could do. Also, this might not sound pretty, okay? Timid entrepreneurs have skinny kids, okay? Timid. In direct proportion to how you present it is how they're going to receive it. It's going to be $10,000. If you're hesitant in your offer, they're going to be hesitant in their acceptance. You should brag on your rates. If you're confident in bragging on your rates, they'll be confident in accepting your rates. That's just what it is. Okay. Lastly, on this point, and you probably know, if you don't, I'm just tell you real quick, and save time. in an effort to save time. What's the highest paying profession in our country? The highest paying profession on average. What profession pays more than any other? The answer is athlete. Basketball, baseball, football players, they earn more than any other profession on average. A bench player in the NBA is going to earn $5.5 million. Okay. The second highest paying profession on average is actors and actresses. Okay. A bit player on a sitcom is going to make 135 grand a week. Okay. Come on. That's high. And then the third highest paying profession on average is still sales. Sales. That counts corporate CEOs as well. Now, isn't it interesting that the three highest paying professions can probably fit into the same category, because it could probably go under the umbrella of the entertainment field, because when you present, you are just as much a performer as an actor or actress. You have to perform the way the champion would perform in order to receive that kind of results. You have to stay within integrity, because everyone's bullcrap meter is set on high, and everyone can tell if you're not operating out of integrity or full of it. Everybody can tell. The dumbest person you're ever going to meet can still tell if you're in integrity or not. So keep it in integrity and perform as if you're confident that they're going to be better off with your solution.
Not surprisingly, I could not agree with you more. When I truly believe that when you don't prospect actively, when you don't ask people for the money, then you are doing not only you and your family a disservice, but you're doing them a disservice if what you've got can truly serve them. You've got to be coming from a place of service. I know what I have can truly help you. And if you don't do your very best to help them make a decision that's right for them, then you're not in integrity. And if you're selling a product or service that you just don't believe in enough, go find something else to sell.
Yes.
Because look,
you can't make it.
I don't have a hard time selling me. I have complete confidence in me. Mm-hmm. I loved selling Encyclopedia Britannica because I truly believed that their kids were going to do better in school if they bought the books. And if you guys don't have something to offer people that you truly believe in, go get something else to sell. And then you owe it to them, not just yourself. You owe it to them to help them. Otherwise, you are out of integrity and you're not going to make a heck of a lot of money. What about sales pitches? What are your thoughts on pitching?
Woo, good question. First off, listen to me, my entrepreneurial friends. Sales pitching time has gone. Okay. For people that I know, like, and love and want to be helpful to, I don't want you to ever pitch again. No pitches. If I pitch a ball at you, you're either going to swing at it, dodge it, or catch it. Okay. And there's none of those things I want you to do with your offers. No pitching. I want you to tell your story. Your money is in your story. Your money is in your story, not into a sales pitch. There's two types of people that we know love stories. One of them is children. We know they love stories. And the other one is adults. And we know adults love stories. We've got movies and TV shows. For example, if someone were to ask me, what do I do for a living? I tell my 30-second story. And this is what it sounds like. You know how there's so many amazing entrepreneurs out here that offer services that really, really do help people, but a lot of them don't earn nearly the money that they could or that they should. You know what I mean? Right. I'm going for him to agree. Now I can see him, so he already nodded his head. That's enough. But if I can't see them, I'm gonna make him agree. Well, what I do is transition. Well, what I do is I help them to sell better than they ever have before through my sales coaching, my books, my workshops, so that they can, my benefit statement, so that they can not only earn the money, but actually enjoy the process much more. Okay. 3-part process. You introduce a problem, get them to agree. You introduce yourself as if you're a solution, telling what you do, not how. And then you end their story with a benefit. Most entrepreneurs today, especially the ones that have had some sales training, where they miss it is they forget to tell the benefits. They tell what it is in a great way. But if you don't tell the benefits, what happens is the client will lump you into the category of anyone who does anything close to what you do. And there's no one exactly like you. So don't lump yourself into the category of others. Make sure you stay unique by telling the benefits of working with you.
Yeah. I live in a 2 no zone world. One is a no Kardashian zone. I'm not interested in that. And a no pitch zone.
Right. Oh, I did not know that about you.
I think we're brothers from another mother, because I literally cringe when somebody says, yeah, I'm working on my pitch. Stop that. Don't pitch. Come from service, come from truly helping people, and just have great conversations. Take the pressure. Look, sales is a pressure-filled job. Every day we get judged and we earn or we don't. We eat what we kill. If you're pitching, you're pushing people away. Just look, do what comes naturally. Just have great conversations. That's all you have to do. To me, that's the definition of selling. Sales is a conversation or a series of conversations leading to help the other person choose to do business with you. If you think you got to be look, I can pitch, you can pitch. I don't know if you remember Ginsu knives. Do you remember those?
Yes, it slices, it dices, it cuts julienne fries.
At one point, years and years ago, I had a display in Sears where I would stand there and sell encyclopedias to, ladies as they were walking by and shopping, or guys. And one time a guy sat up across from me and he was selling Ginsu knives. The greatest pitchman I ever saw. I stood there. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was like, oh my God, I got to learn from this guy. But that doesn't work anymore. Pitches.
It worked for a season.
But not anymore. You want to sell whatever that goop is that they sell, the rubber stuff that they spray. I don't know what it's called. But, there's all kinds of stuff on TV that people are pitching. That's not what sales is about, though. Our job is to have a communication with people, have a chat with them. And because the pressure is on us in terms of we either sell and eat or we don't sell and eat.
What you should embrace.
Let's take as much pressure off as possible. Stop thinking you've got to pitch people. Stop thinking you've got to convince people. Just chat with people.
Yep.
So what are the new ABCs of selling?
I love that you asked this question. You had a really, really interesting post the other day, Jeff, about your favorite sales movies. Okay. And I threw my hat in the ring and listed my sales movie. One of the movies that came up a lot of times was a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross. And they talk about the 8 BCs of selling. A, always be, B, C, closing. Always be closing, because there's only one thing that matters in life is to get them to sign on the line that's dotted, right? That used to be how, that used to be how they thought sales was. Pressure them, to close them, always be closing. But there was another book written maybe 10 years ago called To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. To Sell is Human. And in that book, he introduces the new ABCs of selling. And I like it a lot. And I've adopted his philosophy into my own, and I Brianized it. Okay. So I made it mine. Okay. But I've changed some stuff. But the A stands for attunement. Attunement. Can you get into a tune with your potential client? Can you see your business the way they see your business? Is it easy for them to work with you, or do they have to jump through loops in order to work with you? I met a guy one time and he looked sharp and he was telling me that he's in business and all that stuff. I said, great. So tell me what you do. He said, here's my business card. And on my business card has my website on it. Go to my website and there's like a short questionnaire there. And then after you check out my website, my questionnaire, I'll get back with you. I asked him what he do for a living. He wanted to give me a homework assignment. I don't even know you well enough to know if I want to do homework for you. So do you make it easy for them to work with you? That's the A, attunement. The B stands for buoyancy. How do you keep your head in a sea of rejection or down? How do you keep your head when things are not going right? There's a key question to keep your head. The key question is, can I do this? Ask yourself, can I do this? And very often your brain goes seeking yes, I have the experience, I have the know-how, I know what I'm doing. Yes, I can do this. And that's oftentimes enough to bolster your spirits to go another day. Keeping your head when it's not cranking. That stands for the B, buoyancy. How do you stay buoyant? And the question is, can I do this? And then the third question is clarity. Now, this is the one I think changes the entrepreneur's lives right away. It used to be, and still is in some cases, that solving their problem is enough to do business. Your problem is this, here's the solution, okay? Before I understood clarity, someone would say, Brian, I need help closing sales. Teach me how to close sales. And I would receive that question as the problem, and I would teach them the 4 chances you get to overcome an objection, a 5-step process to overcoming any objection, and the 2 key closes that I think are important. And I'd be very happy and proud of myself. But that was wrong. That was wrong. I've learned since then to ask a couple more questions. In the last month, how many times have you offered your services? or once or twice. In the last 2 months, how many times have you offered your services once or twice? So you don't have a challenge closing. You're just not making enough offers. The C stands for clarity. And clarity is defined as finding the right problem, being a problem finder instead of just a problem solver, and selling to what the real problem is, uncovering, I need help closing, really? Okay. Or no one is buying in right now, which is always never true. The economy's so bad, no one is buying, really, and you can't get a parking space at the mall. So that's never true. So ABC's attunement, buoyancy, clarity.
Great stuff. Great. Guys, if you have any questions for Brian, please type them into the comments. And once again, I couldn't agree with you more. That whole concept of ABC, always be closing, never made sense to me. And I think it's really a branding issue. I mean, because if you think about it literally, if you're really always supposed to be closing. So if I'm trying to sell something to you, I walk into your office and say, hey, my name is Jeff Goldberg. Will you buy from me? Well, how could that possibly? I can't always be closing, but right. I think it's really a branding issue. What it really means is make sure that in your sales process, you do ask for the business. And I love what you said again. God, please, people, make it easy for people to say yes. Make it easy for people to find you. Make it easy for people to do business with you. Stop making it so hard. I won't work. I actually, you'll love this. I got a referral from a highly trusted referral partner recently. He introduced me to a great guy. We had a wonderful conversation. Definitely has a need for my services. I'm a perfect match for what he does. And we ended it with, he was going to speak to his VP of sales, set me up with a conversation with him. So I was talking to the owner of the company, and we'll move this thing forward. Okay. Waited a few days, sent him an email. Haven't heard from the VP of sales. Do you need me to do anything? No response. Left him a voicemail, no response. One more email, no response. One more voicemail, no response. So 2 tries via email, 2 tries via voicemail. And the guy who referred me called me the other day and said, how's it going with Yitz? I said, it's weird. He never got back to me, and he seemed very interested. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I spoke to him yesterday, and he's going to be replacing this and doing this, and he just wants to hold off a while, but stay on him. I said, no, actually, I'm not staying on him. If he didn't have the courtesy to get back to me and just say, hey, I still want to move forward, or I still want to talk to you, or we're potentially going to do business, I just need to do this, that, and that, I'm not going to chase him. He's not making it easy for me to sell him my services, and I'm certainly want to make sure that I'm making it easy for him, but I'm not going to wait around forever, and I'm certainly not going to play games. I don't have any time to waste. And I think that's another issue. Do you find that salespeople often, which I find, they often don't know when it's time to move on? They chase everything equally.
Yeah, it's going back to systems, Jeff. I count them as touches. You touched that guy 5 times, okay? You had an initial conversation, 2 phone calls, 2 emails. That's 5 touches. Now, to me, and that happened within a week or 2, probably, right? Yep. Okay. Absolutely. So that's 5 touches in a short time period. I would say you don't touch them again until next month, but not directly. Okay. You just put yourself on their mind again, either a message or a text, email. Okay. And once a month forever, until they buy or die. Every potential client's got to hear something from you once a month until they buy or die. It doesn't matter if it's 4 people or 4,000. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, but what you're doing is just putting yourself back on their mind. You did 5 touches, which is amazing. Which is what I teach. I call that a campaign. You did a 5-touch campaign. Okay, which is amazing in a short time period. That's enough for now. So this is checkers too. So you made your move. The next move should be theirs. But if they don't make their next move, they forfeit their move, because I'm going to touch them again in a month. I'm going to touch them again forever. And that keeps me profitable. That's a system thing.
Yeah, you got to have a cadence. And that's the same advice that I would give to anybody else. But I'm too old and cranky. And look, I want to work with people who want to work with me, but not just who want to work with me, but fit certain criteria. And I think everybody should have an ideal client profile. They should know exactly what they want, just like a relationship with a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. You got to know what you want, what you don't want, what you're willing to put up with, and what you're not. For me, if you're going to be unresponsive, I'm not interested, because if you're unresponsive before you give me your money, now that you think that you own the part of me, you're probably going to be unresponsive too, then I'm not going to be able to help you. So I have 0 tolerance for that. I'm just not going to put up with it. And fortunately, and I know you're in the same position, we have an unlimited prospect base. Every
Yes,
company in the
yes.
world that has salespeople, other than retail, because I don't do retail training, but for me, every company in the world that has salespeople is a potential prospect. So I don't need to chase anybody. I
Nope.
will stay in touch. I'll continue to talk to people if they're interested in continuing talking. But once I've sent you 2 emails and 2 voicemails and you haven't gotten back to me, unless your excuse is I'm dead, I'm not interested. Now, if this guy calls me and has a good story, happy to talk to him, but I'm not going after him. That's for sure.
Part of it to me is I still enjoy the hunt and like lions, but you have to hunt something big. So if I'm going to go through extra effort, it's got to be something big worth hunting, you know? So that's part of my philosophy too. You can get all the little fish, but hunt something big too.
Yep. You suggest that there are a dozen skills to ensure success. Can you share just a couple of them?
Wow, that's an old video I did. You've done some homework. 12, yeah. The number one thing, okay, that I remember that's on the video and in an upcoming book is the word courage. Okay. Courage. Even if you're afraid, you're willing to do it anyway. It does take some courage to believe that your intellectual property is worth someone else paying for. So you do have to have enough courage to at least introduce to the world and offer your services. Mm-hmm.
I love that beyond belief. I advise everyone, put yourself into uncomfortable situations, challenge yourself, do stuff that's scary. Look, I'm incredibly used to hearing the words, and ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Jeff Goldberg, and I stand in front of an audience of 10, 12, 200, 500 salespeople, and it's no problem. But as you know, last night, I did something very different. It was terrifying, terrifying. And I'm used to going on stage. I'm telling you, my heart was pounding. I thought it was going to jump out of my chest as I was being introduced. And it's scary, but it's one of those things that once you do it, you have this incredible, not just immediate rush, but it gives you great power. It's the same thing when I went skydiving years ago. Terrifying. Mm-hmm. Second scariest thing I've ever done after stand-up comedy. And I'm
proud of you for doing it scared, man.
Thank you, man. But the thing for me that I always remember about that is that, you know, I'm old enough to be that I was in the days of disco. And, you know, after skydiving, I'd be at a club and I'd look across the dance floor and go, oh, she's much too pretty. I can't ask her to dance. And then I'd go, wait a minute. You jumped out of an airplane from 2.5 miles up. I think you can ask a woman to dance. So put yourself in the scary situation. Challenge yourself. Always ask, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could have happened last night? I could have bombed and been embarrassed and felt bad for a couple of minutes.
But you would have lived.
Absolutely, positively. Can you teach us something right now that will help our sellers sell better right away?
Yeah, and we probably have already covered several things that could help them right away. But number one is learn to ask for the business that you want. Let's see, what's something I can teach them right away that's going to help them sell a better way? I should be ready for this question. So I was reading Brother Larry.
Here's a different one.
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And back
Larry
then we had 3 channels. And he did this stuff with Crazy Eddie's. I remember the Crazy Eddie commercial.
Well, Larry actually invented those.
When you're getting ready, walk on down to Crazy Eddie, the man who has most everything in stereo sound. You know, come on, I remember that
His
commercial.
Prices are insane.
Yes, I remember that. You know, Crazy Eddie was in even Biggie Smalls' lyrics. I was thinking about that. First off, I want to answer Larry's question if I can. Take on customers who are interested in nothing but finding the lowest price, even so far as comparing apples to oranges in their quest. Here's my response to that, Brother Larry. First off, I don't believe anybody who says they want just the lowest price. I don't believe them. And if they really try to make it that way, I try to ignore it at first because I don't believe them. But if they really say, I just want the lowest price, I scare them. Okay. And this is the way I do it. Okay. You know, I don't believe it's wise for you to spend too much money ever. Okay. I think it's more unwise to spend too little, because if you're spending too little, you're buying something that may not do what you bought it to do, and you'll have to buy it again. You never regret spending a little bit more and getting what you're wanting to get, getting the quality. So it's a choice you get to make. You want to ensure the success of this venture, or do you want to risk it with dating that woman lowest price? You know, so I don't believe them. Also, I don't believe anybody who said they can't afford me or my services or my price is too high. I don't believe you. Okay, I'm gonna prove my point too. So
And Melinda says, you get what you pay for. And that's absolutely true. And I'm with you again, 1,000,000%. I don't believe anybody's really looking for the lowest price.
I
They
don't
are
think so.
looking for a good price. But look, when people are looking for a sales coach, are they looking for the cheapest sales coach they can find?
No, they want to make money for themselves.
They want
to
the
be
best
effective.
they can possibly find at a price they feel is reasonable and that they can actually afford. It's why we don't all drive 1975 Honda Accords.
Exactly.
Hondas run forever. They're great cars. They may not be sexy, but they're great cars. You can pick up a 1975 Honda Accord for $300, but lots of us are driving Mercedes and Lexus and all kinds of other cars.
Or Cadillacs, like me.
We see the value. We see the value, and that's our job. And even in a highly commoditized sale, and I'm actually, one of the things I do is outsource sales management. And one of the companies I'm currently managing is in a highly commoditized sales. They sell bubble wrap and mailers and things like that. You can get them from all kinds of places, but what does differentiate you? Is it your customer service? Is it the way you come to market? Whatever it is, there's got to be something. It's not all about price.
Yeah.
And personally, if somebody's really shopping price, I don't want to work with them. That's not my prospect. Go find better prospects. Yeah. What makes a great sales letter?
A great sales letter. Yes, if you can get agreement and buy-in. Okay. This is where I see your challenge, the way you explained to me. Am I right? Okay. If they agree with the challenge of the buy-in, man, you've dug deep into me, brother. But if you can get agreement and buy-in on the sales letter and have them understand that there's an opportunity to work with you and a next step, just that simple. I actually give a presentation in a sales letter, as if I worked there already, as if they already hired me, as if we were already working together. And I word it kind of like as if we're working together already, past tense. We're behind, the decision behind us already. But I'm uncovering the problem, making it simple. Here's how I see it. Here's how I understand it. Here's how I see how we're going to move forward. And our next steps are these. Okay.
Yeah, great. That's right. So you're painting a picture in their mind of them already having the result that they're looking for.
Yeah. And I'm already the result. I'm already the solution. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what we are storytellers, and you've got to help the prospect see them already having worked with you and what was the result of that. Because until they can clearly see what's the WIFM, the what's in it for them, what the benefit that they're going to get. And, I'm using old style terms that are very basic, except it's still true. Brian said it before. We tend to focus on the features, what it is or what it has, instead of what it does. People buy what things do, not what they have or what it is.
Now, what you just said, a lot of these new school trainers see that as old school, what you just said. Okay. That's because they said that to me in my in testimonials. Brian is old school in his approach, but it was really, really effective for our team. Old school is basics, fundamentals.
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm not a sports fan. I'm really not. But I know that, football players, for example, a quarterback who gets paid $20-30 million a year to throw a ball, and he doesn't throw it perfectly every time.
Nope.
And then somebody else is paid $10 or $15 million a year to catch it. Doesn't catch it every time. I don't get that. But what are those guys doing all week? Waiting around for the game to play? No, they're practicing the fundamentals, every single day. So call me old school if you want, except you know what? That's what works. Stick to the fundamentals.
Vince Lombardi story. Vince Lombardi was the Super Bowl trophy is named after him. Legendary coached the Green Bay Packers and the New York Giants. Okay. And every year when the preseason started, he'd have all his players out there on the field with him, and he'd hold up a ball and goes, "Gentlemen, this is a football. It's oblong shaped. It's covered in pigskin. It has these laces on it." And the joke was the players go, "Hold on, coach, you're coaching too fast. You're talking too fast." But the basics is he believed that winning football games boiled down to basics, blocking and tackling, the basic stuff. If you master that, you can beat the opponent.
That and
selling has some basics too. We have some basics too. Continuous learning, prospecting, the right people, selling to the right people, asking for the business, offering your services as good as you can. And you do have to get better, all of us. We have to continually improve.
Yeah. Larry says, good answer. And yeah, I'm one of the voices singing.
I am impressed with Larry. Because I remember that doo-wop commercial, man.
Larry's got a fascinating background, and he's a great guy on top of it. You just mentioned prospecting, and we talked about it a lot earlier. Any thoughts on the most effective ways to prospect today?
Yeah. Now, might cause a mental shift. We used to, and myself, I have this great service teaching people how to do stuff and teaching people how to sell. And all of you people out here who want to sell better, y'all can get it from me. Okay. That's one way of approaching it. I have shifted. Instead of me just putting my stuff out there and then seeing who will come to it and go, I have decided to approach my game as, who do I want to serve? I want to serve these coaches, these consultants, these insurance agents, those kinds of people, and solve their challenge in selling. Picking your targets. I believe in you. Instead of just attraction marketing, I believe in what I call putting them on my bus. I pick the targets I want and I put them on my bus. Okay. I want to work with this organization, this insurance agency, these coaches, consultants, and all that. Okay. I've got them on my bus. That means they have an organic understanding of who I am. I put them on my bus and I'm the driver, and we go wherever I want to go, when I want to go there. I keep touching my people on my bus, and you don't need a lot. You want to keep about 40 people on your bus at any given time. That's all.
And are there any particular methodologies that you're advising over others? Like I always recommend a blended approach. Do some LinkedIn, do some email, do some networking, do some cold calling, do a little bit of each. Are you finding any particular methodology that's working very well these days?
Yes, and we can't get around it. You're going to have to do more live videos. Live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube, especially YouTube. You recording yourself more. If I had my business to do over again, I would have done a whole lot more recordings. I have hundreds of videos now, more than 100 of them anyway. But recording, people got to see you. Some of my coaches say I need to record more in TikTok and in Instagram, but you're going to have to give good stuff. Today it is, you're going to have to give before you earn the right to ask for their business. They have to be benefited up front. So don't hold back anything. Give them some good stuff, but you're going to have to do it where they can hear your voice too and see you. That's why something like this right here is extremely valuable to me in my business.
Yep. Anything in particular for high level prospecting? Jeff Stern wants to know, he markets to CEOs. Anything different when you're marketing to CEOs?
Again, it's a process. Okay. Now, marketing to CEOs to me is just the same process as marketing to anyone else that I want. If I want that CEO, the only difference is sometimes they have a person that I have to sell along the way. And then what I do is I gain alliances. So if he has a VP of sales, I make that VP of sales like the superstar. They're going to thank you for bringing me in. They're going to appreciate you more. I have to give him a preview of coming attractions. They're going to celebrate. They're going to thank you, VP of Sales and Marketing, for bringing Brian McNeill in. So if I can get him to be an advocate, now that's the one I sell because I have to use him to sell into that. It's like fighting for ground. You fight for a little bit of ground now, but you don't have to refight for the same ground again and again. You just want to keep moving forward. I hope that helps, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm laughing, of course, because once again, I'm hearing my words and my thoughts come out of your mouth.
I love it.
Here's the other thing that I'll add in about prospecting to CEOs. Grow a pair. Pick up the phone and call. Market right to them directly. I find that quite often, and this is especially true for younger salespeople. Oh, I can't call on the CEO or the CTO.
Yeah, because you're thinking about yourself.
Oh, they're too high up. Here's what I find. It's incredibly easy to get appointments with people who can do you no good whatsoever. It is harder to reach a CEO, but it's not impossible. You want to find somebody tough to reach? You try getting a CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Those guys. I say doctors, lawyers, and CTOs are the three toughest things to reach, and CTOs of the three are the hardest. CEOs, pick up the phone and call. Now, is it harder to get through to a CEO than a secretary? Sure. Do you need to probably make 8 to 10 touches? Everything I read today says the average is somewhere between 8 to 16 touches before somebody's going to respond to you.
And most entrepreneurs won't make more than 2. I call that a chicken list. And you should all have an active chicken list, someone you believe that will really, really benefit you and your business, but you're afraid to call on. Okay. So if you can get 5 people on your chicken list, so right after you've had some levels of success, you just made a couple of sales and you're feeling good, call somebody on your chicken list when your attitude is right, because your attitude matters. What you're thinking about when you make that call is going to resonate in your voice or it'll shine in your eyes. If you're thinking, oh no, he's not going to listen to me, that's going to come across. You can't fool your game. Your game knows how you feel. It's one of the 3 key minutes in your business. There's 3 key minutes. The 1 minute right before you're in the presence of your client, potential client, whether it's on the phone or in person. What you're thinking about in that 1 minute right before you get on that phone matters greatly. You should be thinking about how you're going to help them, how much you like them, how much you enjoy that company or like what they do, how you're going to help them and what you like about it. That's what your thoughts should be on. And then the second key minute is somewhere in the middle of your talk where you check for understanding. You know, how are you hearing this so far? And are we in agreement? But you got to take a moment to check for understanding, because if they don't understand everything you said, that means every word. So that's why you want to be careful with jargon. Then the communication is lost thereafter. And then the last key minute is once you get alone, leave it their presence where you check yourself. What did I do right? What could I have done differently? That's it.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back and reinforce what I said a moment ago. Grow a pair. Everybody knows the little blue envelope Valpak. You get it once a week in your mail. It's got coupons. I called the CEO of Valpak, and that's how I worked with Valpak for years. I called the president of Time Warner Cable, New York City, got through to him directly. Just pick up what's the worst that happens? You don't get through, but take a shot. Brian, unfortunately, we're running out of time. I could talk to you all day, so I'm going to share.
I knew this would happen.
It always does, because I only bring on great people that I want to chat with. I'm sharing my screen right now. Could you please tell people how can they get in touch with you if they're interested in working with you or just want to have a conversation?
That's a great graphic there because it has all the ways to reach me on it. I am so old school, I will still take a phone call, but it's easy, to go to my website. My website is going through a major revamping right now, but it's still enough information on there where you can find out how you can schedule time with me or send me a message or send me an email. I'm very, very accessible, but my website is simply briankmcneill.com. BRIAN, the letter K, MCNEILL, 2 L's, briankmcneill.com. At the Sales Confidence Coach, I would love to talk with you. That's all.
Awesome. Brian, I don't think, and I certainly hope this is not our last conversation. I can't thank you enough for investing some time with the Sales Pro Network today. You're wonderful. Melinda Roth Epstein says, what a great call. Thank you both.
Anything I can do to be supportive of anything Jeff Goldberg is doing going forward, I want to. Okay.
The same applies for me, my friend, anytime. And I hope you'll be an active member of the Sales Pro Network.
I have been and I will be, yes.
Please continue. And I'll end this as I always do, my friends. Please remember that sales is a game of making things happen. So please have a wonderful holiday weekend and then come back and make sales happen. Thank you, Brian, and thanks, everybody.